Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm doing a video today as a celebration of sorts, and that the long nightmare of some of the worst excesses of the Me Too movement are over. And why is this? Because a symbolic gesture today happened today, as far as Johnny Depp did win. Not completely win, because I guess there is a little bit of monetary damages that Amber Heard are getting, but he gets the majority of that. Split, between about 90%, 10%, pretty much. I guess that's what happened. So I have a lot of thoughts on this. I've been following this for a while. I was just watching 21 Jump Street in bed, just right before this video, because I'm going to go to bed early. Didn't get much sleep, but I figured I'd do this video anyways. So what I think is it's pretty funny watching 21 Jump Street. Kind of ridiculous show in some ways, but it has a lot of cool stuff too. But I was gonna say this is like a watershed moment for a lot of reasons, because the pendulum swung way too far into one direction. And you have all this shit that people say. I think people are kind of getting sick of all this stuff. I'm not saying that social science is pseudoscience. I was just watching episodes. I was just watching videos of mine from 6 years ago, and I'm talking about some of this stuff. It's just holy shit. But yeah, I think some of these social sciences are highly flawed and debatable. You had Richard Dawkins, debunking certain aspects of social sciences and feminism and, a lot of these kind of, at least Marxist adjacent ideologies over time, because when it comes to everything with regards to how society operates versus what is in our biology, there's correlation, and then there's things that aren't correlated. It's complicated, it's nuanced. So I think the pendulum went too far with regards to a lot of that stuff, and especially with Me Too. Every other day, I read about these. I read about someone today. They claim they were groomed by a director when they were 19 or 18 or something. It's aren't you an adult? Or, why don't they just raise the age of consent to 30 and get it over with? If people are really that offended. Consensual relationships, and the director groomed him because he's so much older. And, to be fair, this guy, I think Carey, forgot his last name. To be fair, the guy did do some douchey shit otherwise. But still, I think people are taking things way too far and not, talking about personal accountability or liability a lot of the time. And they're taking away agency from women, which is the ultimate anti-feminist thing to do, if you think about it. So anyways, that's not really what I'm going to talk about in this video as far as with Amber Heard, but it was pretty obvious from the beginning there was a lack of evidence from Amber Heard's camp, and that really rankled a lot of people, and they watched this trial. I watched probably about 30 hours of the damn trial. I was watching the whole, a lot of it. Not the whole thing, obviously. It's 8-hour days, but a good 30 hours of the trial. And a lot of the highlights I caught. I just thought that if she was going to make these accusations, these outrageous accusations, then she'd better back it up with at least less biased witnesses. Obviously he had his share of witnesses, but the main factor for me that really got me to believe Johnny Depp's side are the tapes of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard when they're talking, and compare that to what she said as far as testimony, and there's a lot of contradictions there. about how she acted on the stand, not the show The Stand, which she was in as well, but not that stand, but the court stand, she was in the remake or whatever you want to call it of The Stand, a couple years back during the dark times of the CV. But it's a celebratory thing because I think maybe we're going to have rational balance again, but obviously the pendulum might be swinging too far now for various reasons that I talk about in other videos. But I can celebrate the idea that people no longer will go by this ideological framework that women are infallible, delicate creatures that are either super awesome, can do anything that a man can do. They're both that and completely innocent, completely harmless, both at the same time. That doesn't make any sense. That's completely contradictory to the one cancels out the other. So this is a narrative that our society was pushing. Like women can never lie, believe all women was a hashtag for a while. And I know for a fact, I've lived my life enough, on this planet that women are definitely not infallible. I don't think that, obviously I don't think men are perfect either. Men have, pretty bad, humanity in general is pretty bad. But women often, they don't, in our society, the roles that we give women are just, they're enablers of bad things a lot of the time, and they don't get called out for that, but they also could be abusers as well. I know relatives that were abused, multiple times by multiple wives. I know I have a relative that may have been falsely accused at one point too, during a divorce proceeding. I have, and that wasn't, anybody that's actually I'm associated with now. Unfortunately, the person that was falsely accused is no longer with us, but I do believe he was falsely accused. I've had girlfriends, not for a long time, that I believe, not more recent girlfriends. I think, I've had girlfriends though that completely manipulative and conniving types of people. And obviously men can do that too, obviously. But, women can no longer get a free pass anymore, in our society with, wokeness and political correctness and, radical feminism, third wave feminism. They can't get a free pass after this. They have to have there's a burden of proof now, After this and like the Rolling Stone ruckus, if you heard about that a few years ago. So, what did it do in my life? What did Me Too do? Well, Me Too made me scared of, getting more sociable. Me Too made me think, if I was going to flirt with women, I'd be like, called like a scuzzball or something, And it didn't really, there's other things that affected things too, but that was one thing that affected me because I would read these articles about street harassment or these videos. And like, oh, what's the difference between me doing, or that guy and me? Obviously there's a big difference, but at the time I'm like, are people going to conflate these two things? Me flirting with a girl at the bar, or, if I see her on the street and some douchebag harassing her, And a lot of people do conflate those two things, unfortunately. But yeah, it affected my life. It made me fearful. And I was already fearful enough of police because I got arrested once and I had a really bad experience with that. I'm already fearful of a lot of different things, in life sometimes, or I was, but I'm becoming less and less of that every day. But anyways, the whole Amber Heard thing, I knew it was bullshit. There was a little time window where I was starting to see, I was starting to think well, maybe she is telling the truth to some extent. I don't think that she was, I think there's just too many contradictions, at this point. And obviously he did some douchey shit, but I don't know. It's one of my favorite books and movies is Gone Girl. I I really like Gillian Flynn as a writer. It's kind of funny. You know, it's like two writers I really enjoy are female. Her and, I mean, I'll admit I really do enjoy The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. I'll admit it. I'm a weird dude, so yeah, I like a lot of female writers. I do. It's the truth. More and more as time goes on because I discover more. But Gillian Flynn is one of my favorites, and you know, Gone Girl goes into a lot of these dynamics of our society. The book itself, it's and there's some things verbatim from the book in the movie, but the book really goes more in depth, and so do the other Gillian Flynn books too. Which I hope she writes another novel sometime because I really enjoy the writing. But yeah, Johnny Depp won, and in the court of public opinion, and the funny thing is that you get so many female commenters you see, it's just like, oh my god, you know, if he looked like Louis Anderson or Danny DeVito, I don't think he would get half the support that he did. You know, I'm just saying, but so yeah, I'm very happy about it happening. At first I read the numbers wrong, what she had to pay, and then I was like, oh, 15 million, whatever, yeah, or whatever it is. It turns out to be 8 million or whatever. I was like 100 million was what she was suing for, and I think he was suing for 50 million. What is just crazy people, man, in Hollywood. But yeah, it's a knife to the heart of this whole idea that men are the villains and the only villains in our society, and men are responsible for everything wrong without any culpability. And you know, it might make people take more of a personal responsibility too, to know that this happened, you know. Now a lot of people might think this is a very controversial statement, but you know, Camila Paglia put it best. It's like there are women that are really naive, and there's a naivete amongst a lot of women, but a lot of them should know better some of the time. You know, if a rock star or actor invites you up to their hotel room alone, you know, and I'm not blaming the victim, obviously, you know, you could think that you're going to play checkers and then go home or something and drink tea, I don't know, but still, there's a lot of people are missing culpability nowadays, and the blame game. It's all men's fault. It's all men doing the evil shit. But there has to be more culpability. I mean, I'm not talking about the way a woman's dressed or some bullshit like that. You know, that's whatever. A woman dresses for various reasons. They're the way they do. So like some kind of assaults that happens to a woman is not because of the way they're dressed. I'm just talking about certain situations they get themselves into. There's some culpability there. I mean, there has to be. I'm not saying Weinstein is innocent or anything like that, but you know, there's a certain naivete that I don't believe that women are that dumb or that dull or that dense or naive as far as what happens to them. Some of the time, not all the time. But yeah, there's a certain a certain satisfaction in what's happening, because now we're going to be able to take a look at these things a little bit more in a nuanced way. That's one thing that's a good thing. So people have to be culpable. A man has to be culpable, and a woman has to be culpable. If you believe in those concepts of man and woman, of course. So a man has to be responsible and culpable for what they do, just as much as a woman does, and vice versa. With Me Too, it seemed like it was all the men. Everything was about what the men do, or the man does. Woman bears no responsibility whatsoever for anything that happens to them, or the other person, for that matter. If just like Amber Heard said on one of those tapes, it's like they'll believe you, Johnny, like sarcastically, like, because she was empowered and emboldened by Me Too to do what she did, you know, and that's what happened. And she single-handedly destroyed Me Too in the process in a certain way, and I find that pretty satisfactory. I really like that. Not because I don't believe that it had some purpose in the beginning. Not because I don't believe that there are scummy guys out there, or rapists, or sex pests, as people call them now. I do believe that, but also I believe that the pendulum swung too far. I could see it happening. I could see it happening with Netflix, like, banned certain amounts of eye contact from their employees, shit like that. Just crazy. It's like stuff that just defies rational thinking. Just like that Dave Chappelle consent form or whatever joke, that was on the Chappelle show back in the day. I wouldn't be surprised some of the laws that were trying to be proposed, basically, you would have had to do that, if things went too far into that direction. It was just crazy. Like, before we have sex, I have to sign a consent form. And then all this talk about power dynamics and all this shit. It's like, this is what I want to say, actually. I just remembered, because I was planning this video if he would have won. And I'm just remembering some of the stuff in my brain, what I was going to say. So, people talk about power dynamics, but women have a lot of power. And they have sexual power, for one, over men. And they have, privileges of their own. Men have privileges, women have privileges. They're just different kinds of privileges. And I'm not saying historically, that's not a judgment on history. I'm just talking about right now in our society. Women have privileges. And the pendulum was swinging way too far in their favor. While, maybe 50 or 60 years ago it was way too much in men's favor. The era of the show Mad Men and all that shit, right? But it's swung way too far. It's got to be somewhere in the middle, That's what has to happen. Because otherwise, it's just society is broken. I mean, it already is, but, maybe it could function a little bit more in a balanced way while civilization breaks down or whatever is going to happen. I don't know if that's going to happen, I'm just saying. So hopefully not. I choose not to live in that reality. But as they say you're supposed to say in The Secret or whatever. But yeah, I don't believe that this is a bad thing necessarily for survivors and all this stuff, all these Vice articles and all this shit. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing because where are we going to go if we believe things in face value as a society? Where would we go? There would be way more people emboldened to do what Amber Heard did. Now, could it swing in the other direction where they demand all this evidence that is not there, that someone doesn't have, and an assault or abusive situation? Sure. There could be some bad consequences, but she made her fucking decision to do this. If you believe what happened was justified as far as the decision courts made. She made her decision to do what happened and to do what she did and make this into what it was. She knew very well what she was doing. If she did not have the evidence, then she should have not done it in the way that she did, As far as, she didn't have the evidence because there was no good evidence. And because obviously she was manipulating things. I don't think she was after money. I think she was obsessed with Johnny Depp, actually. Just listening to those tapes, she has this very deep-seated fear of loss, borderline personality maybe, or codependent. They call it codependency, they call it. I had an ex that said that she was accused of being codependent. And I actually understand why she said that. I think this was on another level, though. I think she was really felt like she was dying if Johnny left the room. So she thought she was abused in that way. And then made up the other shit because, she identifies with that being the situation. I don't know. It's hard to psychoanalyze this woman. But I don't think we should sit there and I don't think we should attack Amber Heard. I think we should feel sorry for her and try to suggest that she gets mental help, because she obviously is disturbed, in many ways. You can just tell that from the trial and from the divorce footage too. The divorce, that footage from 2016 that she's talking into the camera and stuff. So she's obviously very disturbed. But yeah, it's a very good thing though that happened. So I just want fairness. I don't want people that do false accusations are the worst thing ever. Like the Rolling Stone story from I forgot the university, but there was a UVM maybe or something like that. There was a story that they did, 5, 6, 7 years ago about a woman that accused this fraternity of rape, and it turns out there was just no evidence at all. I'm not saying that someone couldn't have covered up some of that stuff, but like there literally were no there was an event that happened that couldn't have happened on the day. There were enough receipts to know that it was made up. And I think women do make stuff, and men do too, make shit up for attention. They do. Oh my God! Oh, sexual assault's so serious. There's nobody that's making it up. Come on. There's people on this planet that want to make shit up. It's a fact. You could say, oh well, most every time you mention this, there's most false accusations are rare. Yeah. Okay. Well, that doesn't mean they don't happen. So it's just we got to get that pendulum in the middle. That's what we got to do, and that's good. It's a good way for that to happen. Is this trial's outcome, because it does show that people could be held accountable for their actions with the evidence that's there. There was no evidence that Depp was abusing her, at least in the way that she framed it as. I mean, you could say that maybe she was abused and she was exaggerating it tenfold. There's a lot of things you could say. Just a lack of physical evidence. There were some pictures from the next day where she didn't have any bruises, even though she had a bruise in the previous day. And this second day was no makeup, or you can kind of tell she wasn't wearing makeup. All these different things that just did not bolster her case one bit. So it's very very telling what happened. And I do feel sorry for her, actually. I do. I think she's a victim of whatever. Maybe she was abused as a child and she's kind of acting that out as an adult and going after someone that happened to be weak. But let's get back to that power dynamics thing again. So I'm to believe that because Johnny Depp's a famous actor and he's older, has all this money, that he's automatically an abuser because he's with this much younger woman. Of course, they didn't really use that in this situation against him, as far as most of the stuff I read. But that's how the narrative goes. So that means that she's just this innocent victim that has no agency of her own, that has no thoughts of her own. She's just this, basically this poor, meek, blob of patheticness that could be molded by this evil man, member of the patriarchy. This kind of narrative just has to end, for one, because people manipulate each other, including women. Women manipulate people. Women have, like I said, they have their own types of power. There's a type of power beautiful women have, especially beautiful young women have. So we can maybe call it even. Johnny Depp was in his 50s or whatever, or late 40s, early 50s when he met Amber. Amber was in her mid-20s, She was hot and a rising starlet and all this shit. It's where's the power dynamics there? Well, obviously he's on the mountain, or she's this poor little thing. No, that's not how it works. That's not how our society operates. And this myth that power dynamics are so cut and dry and there's no nuance to it. It's just it's either that or it's either this or that. That's got to stop. And I think this is a good step in the right direction of stopping that bullshit. Because I read this article 6 or 7 years ago. It's on this channel about this guy that said he what about the power dynamics? He was talking about these age inappropriate relationships, and one moment of the article, he says, "I question my power dynamics, and I'm only 2 years older than my girlfriend." I'm fucking total face palm. Well, I was 7 years older than one of my girlfriends. That's actually pretty close for my. No, I'm just kidding. No, I was only about 7 years older, but someone might say, because I got, sometimes I'll get questioned even back in my late 20s. I'd get questioned for like 5 to 7 years by certain girls, like online and stuff, like how old I was and stuff, like, or why I was, or what am I trying to say, like that it was inappropriate because I was 30 and she was 23 or whatever. Well, I got like 24-year-olds saying that once, which was really weird, but whatever. Lo and behold, years later, I'm dating women with even a larger age gap than that now. So where are those women now that said that shit? Anyways, it's kind of funny. But let's just hypothetically say, what my girlfriend that was 7 years younger. She was like in college for a master's degree. I was working, basically a sort of minimum wage job at the time. Oh yeah, I was 33 or whatever. She was 26, but who has the power? The girl that's going to get the fucking master's degree and knows all these people, has all this social currency. I'm not going to call it credit, has all this social currency, knows all these people, been with a lot more men and even women than I had been with women at the time. All this stuff, life experiences, I'm relatively sheltered, work a shitty job, sort of half in technical college or whatever, all this shit. Who has more power? And I was living in an apartment with someone else at the time. She had her own place, I mean, who has more power? Where are the power dynamics there? Why am I automatically assumed to be more powerful? I am power. I have the power dynamics over those needy, helpless women that are younger than me. I have power dynamics. Yeah. So how am I more powerful? How was I more powerful than her? How was I more powerful? She's probably making twice the amount I'm making in salary now. Just because she was a little bit younger, or even pushing a decade younger. Why is that? Why am I more powerful because of my age and that I have a dick? How does that make sense? How does that fucking make sense? It doesn't. It doesn't make any sense, because that's the nuance of that. Okay, on face value, like, oh my god, like my ex-girlfriend, I was 15 years older than her, right? Face value, oh my god, this guy's 41 years old and he's dating a 26-year-old. Man, that's really problematic. God forbid, I think she's making more. I don't think she's making more money than me now, but she's whatever, Yeah, I mean, actually, though, that one was a little more even in a certain way, because like, I'm not going to say what she did for a living because people could probably dox who this person is, but not dox, but like just like figure it out. But she wasn't making as much money at me at the time, no. But it was kind of even, because I was living in my friend's attic at the time, and she was living with her mom. It's like, so who has the power dynamics? And when she dumped me, she said, guys that she dates who are older usually have shit more together than I do. Wow, that's really nice. Tell that to your, I don't know, I'm going to make an insult joke, but I can't reveal some of this stuff, so I'm not going to make the joke. I'll make the joke to people that I know personally and make it, but it was kind of a mess anyways. But anyway, anyways, speaking of that, I got to get off of here and message some ladies. It's kind of funny that I have to do that. Still have to do that tonight because there was someone I was talking to. But yeah, the power dynamics thing. So I mean, Johnny Depp, is he more powerful than Amber Heard? Amber Heard had Me Too, the fucking ACLU, and all these people, all these people on her side. Johnny Depp has Hollywood. I mean, he fucking makes so much money for them. I mean, obviously. So who's more powerful? A woman at the height of Me Too, because believe all women, hashtag, or Johnny Depp? Maybe it's a little more even than people think. Oh yeah, she was 26 actually, I think, when they met, and he was like fucking 49 or something like that. And I'm like, and you could say, whoa, well, what's a power dynamic? Suppose it's so problematic. You listen to those tapes, and he sounds like a fucking really passive dude, just being led along by this woman. Obviously he's powerful in Hollywood and with his hobbies and his passions and his interests. I just remember that he did his Jim Morrison documentary, narrated it. I mean, I'm probably gonna watch that. I mean, it's he knows he has all these different things that he's good at and tries to do and stuff, but when it comes down to his relationship attachment style and the way he behaves in relationships, maybe he's a little bit more of a softie. Maybe he's more of a wuss. I'm not going to say the C word, cuck, but, I don't think he's a cuck, but, a beta male, whatever. Maybe he's a little bit more like that in relationships. It can exist. Oh, this powerful guy in Hollywood, oh my God, this powerful male. Hey, you're a fucking white male. You're a fucking white male. You could be that fucking white male's from Age Skrillex, the guy from a few years ago. I don't have any racial things or anything like that. It's just a quote from that dude. But it is a guy at that protest because it became a meme. So if people know what I'm talking about. But anyways, who gives a fuck about if someone is rich and powerful and has these, these great things they've done? At the end of the day, you are who you are. People are complicated. Some people are confident at one thing and they're lack confidence at another. People have seen me play live and think it's like a travesty. Or no, not a travesty. Think it's totally irrational and totally contradictory that I can play guitar and be sort of okay on stage and not have my shit together with women or whatever. Well, people are different in different areas of life and compartmentalize. So this whole idea of this power dynamics is an oversimplification because there's so much that goes into that. King Diamond's wife is 25 years younger. I've mentioned that numerous times. I mean, we're going to cancel him, because that happened. And that might have happened under some weird circumstances too, as far as I've read. But it's not weird, but someone would be mad in circumstances. I mean, but it is what it is. I mean, do I want that for myself? I don't know. When I turn 50, am I mean, what am I going to say? Would I say no to a 25-year-old? No, absolutely not. And that's the way it goes. People make their choices, and there's a lot of complexities people don't talk about. But yeah, in relationships, people are different. People can be totally passive in relationships, or aggressive, or passive aggressive, or whatever. And they could be a billionaire CEO and be a total chode, as Owen Cook would say. Or I hate to quote him, but they could be a total beta chode or whatever. Or they could be totally alpha. Maybe they're good with women, or good with confident with people. I was just say that. And maybe they're just terrible at business. There's just, they drive a fucking a used Pinto. This is a dated reference, but whatever. I'm Generation X. I'll use my old school references. Anyways, I'm just blabbing about this shit. So I'd say this is a good moment. We're gonna get out of this hopefully in a better light. I think the pendulum's swinging the other way a little bit too much lately. If you look at the Supreme Court, I don't like that. The pendulum will swing different ways because there's pushback against what's going on, but I don't think we should go that far, where we're going, of course. I mean, pretty soon we'll be living in sexual harassment will be legal. Actual sexual harassment will be legal again. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think that will ever happen. But that's about all. Peace out.